Don't ask me to talk.
And welcome to another hot edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Ryder.
Hey, I'm the other one. I'm Stacy Heller. I'm telling you,
Hey,
I'm the other one is going to become like, I am Stacy. I'm the other one, Heller. It's a thing.
Sure.
All right. It's a thing.
How
for
we
me.
doing this week, other one?
I am doing, you know what? I am doing well. I made it back to, so I was back home for 10 days or so to celebrate my anniversary. You may remember from last time.
Oh, yeah.
The song. And so now I'm back at the lake house. So all is right with the world again. There's just something about this. And I don't know if this is like if this is an East Coast thing or if there's just a nostalgia to being at the lake. Everything just seems easier. Even doing laundry is easier.
Because you just wear your clothes into the lake. How could it be easier? What are you talking about?
I don't know. It just seems like I seem less annoyed. I can't speak for everybody else, but like I feel less aggressive about everything. Like cleaning up after doing the dishes after you have dinner. Like
you're in vacation mode.
I guess so. But
yeah,
it's like it doesn't matter what time of year it is and whether I'm here for a weekend or for the whole summer. It's just like the cortisol levels drop down and I just don't get aggravated by everything. Now, let's just admit that I've been alone a lot lately here. So the only person to annoy me in the house is me. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I bet you stay by yourself too long and then you'll start annoying the heck out of yourself just like other people would.
Totally. Well, and it's interesting because this actually speaks to what our topic is about later. The topic from our wheel of topics is the Myers-Briggs personality test. And one of the things that it tests, if you will, is whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. So, we'll talk more about that.
Which anybody could have, just told you without taking a quiz, I would think.
Okay, but I think you'd be surprised. I'm just saying, spoiler alert, or not a spoiler alert, a cliffhanger. So keep listening to the end of the episode and you'll hear what our personality types supposedly are. So anyway, back at the lake, life is good. I'm getting my bees taken care of. There's a lot of wasps. I think we talked about this before. Wasps do no good. So finally I'm getting them taken care of.
So is it wasps or bees
Wasps.
Getting taken care of? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's entirely different.
Yeah, well, bees, like, come on, I saw the Bee movie. Like, besides the weird love story between the bee
or
and
is this
the
like a regional thing, like the South calls all soda as opposed to so like in Eastern Washington they call all like flying insects bees.
No, these are definitely
Okay.
wasps that we're dealing with.
All right.
And bees, I would just like let them do their thing. Like we need them, right? But wasps, no. So I have never gotten as much use out of a fly swatter as I have in the past few days. Like I have been karate kidding those things left, right, and sideways. Yeah.
They're one of those creatures that it's like, yeah, you want to respect all creatures, great and small, but they're as aggressive and obnoxious as we are. So it's like anytime there's wasps, it's like this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Sorry.
Yeah, big time.
It's just like rats, It's like they would be cute, if they didn't cause so much damage.
Right. Same thing with seagulls, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's just certain things that it's like, I'm sure that there is a reason and a purpose for every creature on this planet. I feel like I'm doing like a kid show. everything. But also like,
And sometimes like the most annoying ones, like mosquitoes, it's like, well, they're food for other creatures. It's like, well, can we just, cook up some pasta or something
right?
for the birds so we don't have to have mosquitoes?
Do you remember that book? Every once in a while when a memory of something floats into your head and it's like, wait, there was a book about this. It was like the Great Peanut Butter and Jelly Sandwich or the Great Jelly Sandwich or something, and the town was having an issue with bugs maybe, and they created a giant sandwich to attract all the bugs. Does this ring a bell?
No.
All right, I'm gonna look this up and I'm gonna like share it because I'm pretty sure it was called like the Great Jam Sandwich or something. I'm gonna look it up, and I know that there are people listening right now that are like, yes, I know what you're talking about, and they're yelling right now at their radio or their computer or their phone or whatever.
Well, this reminds me, a few weeks ago where I talked about having a plumbing emergency before having one of our gigs. And I never did talk about that on the air. But, what happened with that is one of our PEX pipes, which carries, the fresh water, it was punctured. And so I had to crawl into my crawl space through the basement, get under there and cut the pipe and then rejoin it with the other side of the pipe without the puncture in it. So when I was down there,
do all that?
Sometimes
you impress me.
You got to figure stuff out.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So because I could hear it upstairs. Well, actually, the girlfriend heard it first, and I was like, it may. It may be the fact that it's just raining. She's like, no, I think something's spraying down there. And I went down and checked it out. And sure enough, because there was this little puncture in the PEX pipe. Ugh. And so it was just like in the basement going, and I was like, oh no. So I do not savor ever having to crawl into the crawl space because in the past, we had rats under there. Oh. And I hired a company to come clean it up and, fill all the gaps so we wouldn't have rats again. But somehow the occasional rat gets in there and they can't get out. So they were seeking water, apparently, and bit into one of the PEX pipes. And so that caused the leak. And I found a dead rat. There. Just laying there under the pipe. Apparently did not get enough water or food or whatever.
Water, Sandy.
And couldn't get out. Yeah, so it had long since passed, but it's like, damn, guy, just stay out of my house and I will leave you alone. You can leave me alone. Uh-huh. But yeah, so that took a couple hours to get fixed. But I managed to do it pretty easily and pretty quickly, thanks to, Lowe's and YouTube. That gave me a nice little tutorial on how to fix it.
I don't often toot your horn, but can we just take a minute, like when you were visiting the girlfriend's mother and you fixed the car window and now the plumbing, you play in
This is, by the way, the second time I had to fix the PEX because of rats.
Like, and the fact that it's called a PEX pipe, like, what? I mean, I have to say, you are an Eric of all trades.
Master of none, but I get by.
I'm impressed because I'd be like, here, I'm an expert at dialing the phone and saying like, ew. Yeah. Crawl spaces.
Well, that's what I did before because I was like, I really don't want to crawl in there and deal with, rat droppings and stuff. So I hired pros to come in and get all hazmated up and do that. And they did a good job, except somewhere, somehow, there's some tiny hole and the rats can just squeeze their bones down so they can get through the tiniest of holes, or it's entirely possible they're coming through as babies and then growing into adults and they can't get out. But whatever it is, it's really annoying that once every couple years I find one of these buggers has caused some damage.
That's annoying.
Yeah,
like,
but
I don't even know what you do. I'm like, you spray it with something that's like, ew.
right. Yeah. There's not much that makes rats go ew.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah.
They've evolved into species that'll like eat anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we did have a problem with them a couple years back, and they were literally just chewing through plastic and floor mats and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, what the heck, guys?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere, folks. It's sort of like, and anyone can get them. It's like there's certain things like lice. Everybody's always like, ew, lice. It's like, no, lice like clean hair. Like it's misinformation that that rats are just hungry. They're just really hungry and they need water, and they will go where they can find something to gnaw on and something to drink.
Right. Yeah. Some shelter too.
Mm-hmm.
But that reminds me of my tiny triumph for this week, because as long as we're talking about DIY, my dishwasher died and I got a new one and I replaced it. And it's a massive upgrade from the old dishwasher.
Hey.
But man alive, that took a lot longer than I had hoped it would take.
It's not just a pull it out and pull it back in type thing.
No, because it was a different brand of dishwasher, and this new brand that I got has a very specific wiring setup. So I had to get a separate junction box, and got that all connected, only to then read. This is my mistake, that I sometimes don't read through all the instructions. I read like, I go, well, this is pretty self-explanatory. Put things together and then continue reading the instructions just to make sure I did it right. And then I realize, important step here that I missed. And in this case, it was, don't put this behind your dishwasher. Put this in a separate cabinet. So then I had to take it apart and then get in there with the power tools, cut a hole in my cabinet, and, connect this in under the sink. Yeah, so it took a lot of time, but now we've got clean dishes again. Woo!
And is it like a fancy schmancy one where you like lay the silverware flat on the top, or?
It is kind of a fancy schmancy one. Yeah, it dries with crystals.
Whoa, like
it's a
energy
new age
crystals?
Dishwasher. Yes.
I'm like sodalite, like amethyst. Like, do you get to pick?
No,
it's crystals?
It's actually pretty brilliant, because the crystals that they use, it absorbs water, and while it's absorbing the water activates heat in the crystals. So then the crystals add to the drying of your dishes. So it uses less energy, and so it doesn't have like a heating element in the bottom of the dishwasher. It's got crystal power.
Wow, that's
which
fancy.
I never believed it until this dishwasher. So I was like, this is pretty cool, and I got a good deal on it because it was a scratch and dent. So like now I'm thinking, why can't I find a scratch and dent discount on a new car?
Right? Well,
I'd put up with a ding door for half off.
Well, and the thing is, if it really bothers you, you can probably replace the door.
Oh yeah, but first I'm gonna attempt pulling the dents out myself.
Look at you! You're like,
because everyone's gotta have a hobby.
I mean, I'm impressed. Meanwhile, my big DIY is that we got a new stand-up paddleboard, and finally we borrowed an air compressor, battery operated or whatever, charge operated compressor, instead of doing like the hand pump, which that one is like,
I've got inflatable kayaks, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like that is absolutely, if I were trying to kill my husband, then I would have him.
Even the bellows pump, which is the one you use your foot.
Yep.
It's exhausting. Yeah. So I invested in a rechargeable pump myself last year, and it's been amazing.
It was life-changing. We borrowed it from our friends. Actually, you know who was here this weekend? Stacy and Dave.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hello,
so
Stacy and Dave.
Stacy and Dave, they actually used to have a radio show on KKNW. But anyway, he's good with like tech stuff and like not wasting time. And so he had a compressor and we were like,
he reads all the instructions before.
He totally does. I'm like,
instead of just assuming he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Like I do.
So that was pretty exciting. So that was my big DIY, and I didn't even do it myself. But that's okay.
But part of DIY is knowing when you're out of your depth and then hiring a pro.
100%.
I don't always have that skill until midway into a project.
Well, and then sometimes
then I go, ugh.
Yeah. And then sometimes it costs more money than it's worth. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I put some tables together. I ordered a new table for our outside patio area, and I had to put that together. Look at me.
There you go.
I'm so handy. And I cooked one night. That's DIY.
One night? One night?
Okay. While they were visiting. But like I've had to cook for myself.
So the rest of the time you're just doing Uber Eats?
No, you can't. There's no place to Uber Eats here. No. So
well, that's what I'm saying. So you're cooking every night.
I cook every night. Yes.
Okay.
But it's sort of like, I mean, look, we've talked about my taste.
You're cooking a giant jam sandwich.
Yeah. I found the book, by the way.
To get 4 million wasps.
See, I was right. I was totally right. The book, I found it. And yeah, you're right. It is, the description of the book is, it's a dark day for itching down. 4 million wasps have descended on the town. And so they make a giant jam sandwich to attract the wasps and take them out of the town. So perhaps I need to make a giant jam sandwich.
There you go.
Another DIY for me.
I've never heard of this book, but it sounds intriguing.
It is, it's so, I feel like so the 70s. I mean, I just remember it as a little kid. That, and I think it was like the 5 Chinese brothers. Do you remember that story?
No.
I think it was 5 Chinese brothers. Now I'm going to have to look that one up. Ugh. So much to look up.
This whole concept just sounds like something Roald Dahl would write, but it's not by him.
No.
It's by John Vernon Lord. So
yeah, it does. Or it seems like something that I would do with, you know, a giant water collector reservoir. you know my idea.
Still on that.
Yeah, I am still on that. For those of you that don't know, I have a brilliant idea of collecting water in reservoirs that are in areas that are typically plagued by wildfires. Eric is not convinced. I am. I feel like I'm not able to articulate it to its best advantage. So I'm looking for my engineers out there and my wildlife and wildfire experts. And let's put our heads together and let's workshop this idea.
Great idea. Let's do it. Let's get our listeners on that.
Hey, so what else is going on?
I did watch Return of the Jedi, which we can take a break and then talk about in our cultural blind spot segment in the next segment.
Excellent.
Before we get to our top topic in the final segment. So I think that was the highlight of my week. How about yourself? Anything else?
Well, I read a book by an author that I haven't read in a long time, and I have some real thoughts on this book. So we'll talk about that as well. And no, but this is sort of a silly thing. Okay. In theory, I know that cherries grow on trees, right? I mean, as a kid, you were taught, like, George Washington
chopped down a tree. Yep.
Right.
Couldn't tell a lie, so he admitted it.
Exactly.
Oh my God, he admitted it.
So here's the deal. I never really focused on what a cherry tree looks like. And so around here, there's a ton of cherry trees, and there is a spot on the road leading up to the area that we live in. And
Washington, of course, very famous for the cherries as well as apples.
yep. And
we have the best cherries in the world.
Oh, I mean,
they're called Rainiers.
So good.
They're addictive.
Yeah, they are. So I stopped to pick up some eggs because she has these gorgeous eggs that are very Martha Stewart-esque in all the different colors, including blues. And you're like, oh, this is such an Instagrammable moment. And she was out of eggs, but she had cherries. And I was like, what? And then right behind the little stand was the cherry tree. Hello. So I had to take pictures because I'm like, oh, this is what a cherry tree looks like. These are cherries growing on the tree. How about that? Who knew?
I mean, it's only like the most famous tree on the planet.
Is it the most
the cherry
famous
blossoms? Tree? Pretty much.
Okay. All right. But like, have you ever...
How do you get this far in life?
I've seen apple trees. I've seen peach trees. Have you seen peach trees? I've seen...
Yes, I have.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. I've seen chestnut trees. I've seen lots of different kinds of trees, but I've never come face to face, hand to cherry with a cherry tree.
Well, I mean, they're beautiful and they make delicious fruit. So we should have more cherry trees as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I would agree. So anyway, so that is all the news that's fit to print. You can tell that I'm like in slow time at the lake. But that's okay.
And that caused me to look up and I see that I can get a cherry tree for like $50. Now, if I could get through one season, this would pay for itself because those Rainiers are really expensive. So.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. Out here, you can get a dozen fresh laid eggs, $5. It's good. And the cherries.
Is that a good deal, though?
It is a good deal.
Okay. I'm paying like $3 now for my eggs. So
okay.
I have no idea. But then I go to another store and it's like $7. So I have no idea what the price is supposed to be anymore.
And were they laid by Maybell, the employee of the week?
I have no idea. They don't label the eggs that I buy by which bird did it. But,
well, mine. I know that Maybell has been the employee of the week for 2 weeks in a row.
All right. Well, you go, Maybell. All right. Well, we got to take this break. We'll come right back. We'll get into our cultural blind spots as well as possibly a Dear Krabby question. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
This is Eric Ryder reminding you to follow us on Facebook. We're at Don't Ask Me to Talk, and we're on Instagram, again, at Don't Ask Me to Talk. We'd love to hear from you, so check us out on social media and leave us a comment. Leave us a like. Remember, you can always email us directly at asking@don'taskmetotalk.com or leave us a voicemail or text at 475-999-2726. That's 475-999-2726. And we're back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm Eric Ryder, one of your podcast pals.
And I am Stacy, the other one, Heller.
Hello.
Hello. And by the way, I just want...
And a big welcome to all of our listeners to the second segment. I don't think I said welcome. I don't even remember if I said welcome to our listeners in the first segment. So I just want to double down and make sure that I did.
I was just about to do the same thing. And not only that, but I wanted to remind people that if you are interested in getting in touch with us, whether it's because you need some advice from Krabby, or whether it's because you have some thoughts like on the book The Five Chinese Brothers or the Giant Jam Sandwich or Eric's DIY stuff, and you've got a tip or a trick, then you can reach out to us. You can leave a voicemail or you can text 475-999-2726. We would love to hear from you. You can also email us, right?
Yeah. Amen to that.
So reach out to us at asking
at don'taskmetotalk.com.
There you go.
You know, I slightly distracted because all your cherry talk got me thinking about when I was a kid, and in Reno, crabapple trees were everywhere. And crab apples look a lot like cherries. So I got fooled more than once by a crabapple tree, thinking I had found, free cherries up for grabs. And have you ever had a crabapple?
No, not on purpose.
Well, I didn't have one on purpose either. I had one thinking it was a cherry. They are the tartest substance known to man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ate a few, and they were super tart. Because I don't know, when you're a dumb kid, you sometimes think, well, maybe I just got a bad one. It wasn't ripe enough. So I'm going to get this. I'm going to try another one of these cherries. Still bad.
Nice. Still let me double down and try this.
That's right. I did. Bad idea.
Nice. Okay. I guess it didn't occur to me that crab apples look more like cherries than just small apples.
Yeah. They're little red orbs like cherries.
I guess I'm just not I fancy myself like a farmer girl, but I don't think I am. I think I'm a gentleman farmer girl. Like, oh, look at that farm over there. Isn't that cute? Huh. All right. Speaking of crab, we have a Dear Crabby segment that we do. And we have I think what's pretty much a quick bit of advice that somebody is asking for. Somebody is curious about their kids sitting on their phone all summer and what are some good alternatives for kids to do multiple age ranges. Right? And so they were asking for, like, throw out some ideas. What are some good things either to do at home, like read a book, or out and about that are worth doing some kind of staycation type stuff?
So are we talking like on a rainy day or just in general?
Well, I think the conversation came up like, kids can just sit and, scroll on their phones and be on social media. We talked about social media feeds last week and the danger of that. And I know that this younger generation of kids, their friends are connected with their phones and that kind of thing. But they were like, just as some ideas that will happily get them away from their head being in their phone.
Right.
And
moving on their phone.
Being more engaged, either, just outside or being creative, something that is going to occupy their minds and hands instead of their phone.
Good question. And hey, by the way, as I was listening back to the episode last week, it occurred to me that with the topic of the week, our top topic selected by the Wheel of Topics, which we will get into in our next segment, that maybe you were trying to just give some suggestions for fun like accounts to follow or stuff like that. And I immediately went into a rant about how social media is destroying society. So if that was the case, I apologize, because this show is really about fun, but sometimes, just depending on what you've, taken in your day, that could affect, your opinion on stuff. And that day, I think in particular, I was just sick and tired of AI slop. And I guess I'm not the only one, because last week tonight with John Oliver did a full half hour on AI slop and how annoying it is. So I must have been feeling the waves in the zeitgeist.
100%. And here's the deal. While we are a show that is meant to be light, I think we're trying to model and demonstrate like the art of just conversation. Like, oh, there's not much going on in my life, but like, let me communicate and, just have the conversation, and how just those connections can bring up like, oh, that reminds me of a book that I read, or now I'm like watching a movie that I wouldn't have, or whatever it is. And so it's a reminder that like actually human interaction, right? It can have as much, if not more so, kind of fun and lateness than social media and that kind of thing. So it
Yeah.
is all good. It is
Good.
it's all good. And another episode we can talk about stuff that like if you're going
We
to
could talk about
follow.
the fluffy side of it.
Totally.
For sure.
But for now, I think, it's easy to throw things out like, obviously reading books. I think that parents do at times make the mistake of thinking that their kids need to read like real books. I'm doing air quotes here. You can't see me. Um, I think if you can encourage your kids to read a book, if it's a graphic novel or it's,
Yeah.
Captain Underpants or it's comic books or whatever, it is still reading. Don't discourage that. If that's
Right.
what your kid is into, then let them do it and let them explore it more. Find more books like that. And so, just encourage the love of reading. Don't force it, because that will actually kill the interest and willingness to read in general.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they'll branch out from there into other stuff, more sophisticated stuff, or possibly less sophisticated stuff. But that it's their life, it's their choice.
Exactly. So, I think reading, doing the stuff that's outdoors, like speaking of DIY, we were talking about a lot of DIY, like what are some projects they
Mm-hmm.
want to do? If they have autonomy in their room, like, hey, do you want to paint your room? Do you want to paint the dresser and do something? Get them involved in some projects so that they feel like they're vested in their room, their space, the house. Is there something that you can work on as a family, and not always doing it
Yeah.
as a chore, like, hey, go out and mow the lawn and do the weeding. If they have an interest and aptitude for doing a garden and they seem to be into it, great. What do you want to do? Like plant some pumpkins so that they come up in the fall. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
I like this idea of like restoring stuff too that you kind of mentioned there with do you want to paint your dresser or whatever. I recently restored our barbecue grill and I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was very satisfying. So I think kids could get that same kind of feeling of satisfaction, and as an adult you can supervise and you'll get that same feeling of satisfaction. And here's how you tie it into these kids and their social media addictions is there's great tutorials on YouTube about how to do pretty much anything. And so if you let them do the research and pull out some good tutorials, that just gets them more involved, and it doesn't make it feel like you're taking away their phone or whatever. So it's not a punishment. It's, something that you can enjoy together, and they get the cool feeling of, hey, look at this. I learned how to do something. Everybody wins.
Totally. And going to places like Goodwill, Value Village, some of these thrift stores, it's like, it's not a huge investment to,
Right.
buy a piece of furniture and start on that, buy a cute mirror and they can paint it gold. Like,
I found my grill on the side of the road.
I love that.
So there's tons of stuff on the side of the road that you could. By the way, I always think wouldn't it be great if we had a product like a freeway scoop, where you see something awesome on the side of the road driving down your highway, down the highway, and you just extend your freeway scoop out there and then hey, I found a new couch or whatever.
Yes.
Because there's always great stuff. I'm always seeing great stuff on the side of the road. I saw a brand new, looked like a fantastic, very comfortable mattress just laying on the side of the road that clearly fell off someone's truck. I just thought, boy, if I had a freeway scoop,
right?
Pick that up and, get the guest room all in order with this brand new mattress. Sure, it's got, a few tire marks on it, but
A little road rage or a little road
I'm
rash.
sure it's very, very comfortable. It looked very comfortable.
It's totally true. There are so many things that are out there that you can restore and have fun with and put different knobs on and paint and do whatever.
Yep.
So that's something else that I think, and I love your tie into like, then let them do the research, find a TikToker or an influencer that does those things and they'll get into it. And there's a ton of things that we could list. The other thing though, that I think would be fun, and I never did this, but like, it would be sort of fun to like, what's the thing that everybody has the least interest in, right? So what made me think of it is when I was thinking about anniversary gifts for Pete, it was like, I'm really not into sports, right? So everybody has the thing that they love. And it's really easy to like, oh, I like to do this, so I'm going to go play pickleball, or I like to do this, so I'm going to go do that. But to sort of do a thing like everybody gets to introduce the rest of the family to their thing. And whether it's a museum because you're into art or you're trying to be cultured or you go to some sporting event or you try a game as a family or whatever it is, it's like you release the reins for a period of whether it's a day or it's a road trip or whatever it is, and everybody's all in with a good attitude. And it's like you get to be the tour guide for this event, this day, this, trip, this thing that you work on. And I think you can get to know like the people in your family better and what it is that, what do you like about this? What is it that you're into? So that, depending on how many people are in your family, that's that many adventures that you have over the summer.
I like it. All right. So if you've got a question out there for Dear Krabby, please shoot us an email asking@don'taskmetotalk.com. And our phone number for people, if they prefer to text or leave us a voicemail with their question. We'd love to play back a question from a voicemail. So what's that number?
That number is 475-999-2726. And I know, thank you for the people that have reached out, but don't be so shy. Like, go ahead and put your name behind this question, because the chances are if you have the question, everybody else does too. So
no doubt. All right. So our cultural blind spots.
Tell me about Return of the Jedi. Was it everything that you hoped?
It was A New Hope, in fact.
Nice.
So, yeah, this not necessarily a blind spot because I've seen it a few times, including in the theater when it came out when I was a child. And that is the one of the Star Wars original trilogy that I remember most clearly seeing in the theater. Mm-hmm. I did see Empire. I did see Star Wars when they came out, but I was very, very young.
Yeah. This one came out in 80 what?
83.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was, of memory making age at that point. And I loved it at the time in the theater. And you know what? It gets a bad rap of the three original Star Wars movies. This is the one that people probably rate the lowest. And a big chunk of that is the Ewoks because they think, oh, they're too cute, they're too Muppety or whatever. But I got to say, this time around, I had no baggage on it. I was just trying to complete this story of the original trilogy. And I think I might have enjoyed watching Return of the Jedi a little more even than Empire Strikes Back, the one that everybody rates the highest from this trilogy. Mm-hmm. Not everybody, but seems critics do. And I just had a blast watching it. And again, I went back and I watched the despecialized version of it because here's the problem. Return of the Jedi is the one that George Lucas messed with the most of the original trilogy. And I can only imagine like the frustration that I would have if I watched the updated version of it, because he went in, he changed the songs that were in it, and he added scenes and he added characters that weren't there before. And none of that should have ever happened.
Interesting.
So anyway, the despecialized version is the way to go, in my humble opinion. And it was a lot of fun. And you know what? I like the Ewoks. I'm going to go on record
I like the
that
Ewoks too.
they're a ton of fun. They're great characters. They're having a blast. And they're smart and they're wily. And, they kick the Empire's butt, along with the rebels, of course. And I think it's very inventive, like the stuff they do. I love the idea of their guerrilla warfare of these creatures that live in a forest, kicking the butt of these super sophisticated, high-tech, evil empire.
It's the American Revolution, people.
Using rocks and logs and stuff. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And they're all so cute and just, it's great. And the acting is great. And I tell you what, the only thing that makes me cringe a little bit is the romance stuff between Leia and Han.
Yeah.
That's though some of those scenes felt a little hammy.
Well,
a little bit forced, and not the force, but just forced.
Right. I feel like that was a little bit like the vision, got not away, but it was like, oh, this has become a thing now, and so I need to like play it up a little bit.
Yeah. I think the big criticism has been like, oh, well, Lucas was trying to make this too like family friendly or whatever, whereas that clearly wasn't a concern with the first two.
Right.
But, I just think that it works regardless of what his intentions were. It all works great. And it's a beautifully shot movie. It looks great. Those special effects still amazingly hold up, so much better than so much of the stuff that came after it. There's a few scenes where I go, okay, that's a matte painting or whatever. But most of the time I'm like, this is incredible. I can't believe how good this looks for a movie that came out in 1983.
Yeah.
Yoda is back in it. And even though he dies in it, the puppet work on Yoda is just like so much smoother than in Empire Strikes Back. I'm not going to go through the whole scene by scene bit like I did last week with Empire.
That was helpful.
But I just think that if folks are, debating, well, should I watch it because that's, the least critically acclaimed one of the first trilogy, I would say if you can find that despecialized version or even just original copy of Return of the Jedi before the changes, go for that. You'll have a blast. It's a perfect movie for a family. We're talking about a family having a staycation.
Yeah.
It's a perfect movie for that. And they'll have, I think the kids will still enjoy it. Adults will still enjoy it. The nostalgia factor, of course, is off the chart. It's a great movie.
I will say that I was telling my family about the fact that you were doing this rewatch, and Charlie was totally like all over this, but the rest of the kids were like, oh, we should watch those again. And I was like, yeah, because now when you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I want to see it again.
Yeah, it's a blast. And it's so much fun. And, if they're fans of Rogue One and Andor, I mean, you could do the whole thing like I did, and it all just adds up to a whole lot of great entertainment. So, a big surprise that I'm giving it a thumbs up. But I just felt like, I hadn't watched it actually for a long time, and I feel like that gave me kind of fresh eyes on it. Mm-hmm. And it also just made me like just leave any baggage of what critics have said before off and just watch it as a movie again. And I'm like, this thing it
stands up
surprisingly
and it's good and it's entertaining.
It really stands up.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, critics sometimes, I think they make us too savvy of consumers at times. And it's like, sometimes you just want to be entertained. And with this kind of stuff, and you raise a good point. We talk about cultural blind spots all the time. Well, another idea for your family looking for something to do, like the things that you refer to all of the time, is obviously as long as they're age appropriate, if you will, like introduce your kids to the cultural blind spots that they may have because it's a different generation and the things that are referred to. And, watching that original trilogy from Star Wars, or watching, any of those movies, the Indiana Jones series, or we're going to watch The Godfather now, right?
Yeah. That might be, wait till the kids are older before they watch The Godfather.
But I mean, I think the idea of cultural blind spots, like that right there, that's an idea for you to do with your family, whatever that looks like. So, but speaking of that, so does that mean that you're ready now to do The Godfather?
I think I'm ready to do that when you are.
Okay. All right. Let's do it after the 4th of July.
Sounds good.
And we're
going to watch that trilogy.
Well, because then here's my thought. This actually gives our listeners a chance to follow along. And so with plenty of warning, then we can all be watching it together. And so then you'll know what we're talking about. And I don't know, maybe we'll hear from you and you can tell us what you think and if you agree or disagree to what we have to say about it.
Absolutely. So. And a far less cultural phenomenon than Star Wars that I have been really enjoying and maybe less family friendly is the drama that's on Netflix called Department Q. This is a crime drama that's set in Edinburgh, and it's one of those cranky detectives
like Columbo-esque,
kind of, yes, but much more up to date and much more of a like a cranky jerk. But and I gotta say, the first couple episodes he just comes off like a cranky jerk, and it's like by the third episode you see, okay, he's actually very good at his job. It's not just everybody else holding him up, which is what it kind of feels like the first couple episodes.
Okay.
So give it at least 3 episodes, I think, if you're intrigued at all by the first episode, because it just starts really getting good by the 3rd or 4th episode. And it's I don't want to spoil anything about it, but Edinburgh is just a gorgeous city. And so just watching it to see that scenery is well worth doing. And the acting is phenomenal in it, and it's a lot of fun. So
all right.
If you're looking for a new crime drama.
I love this. And is this one of those limited series things where it's like a series of 8 or something?
Yeah, I think it's like maybe 8 or 10 episodes.
All right, awesome. I'm finding that I get bored at night after I've been, by the lake, by the pool, hanging out, reading. It's just exhausting and I need a break. And so I'm looking for things to watch. So that's perfect.
9 episodes.
All right.
So. Yeah.
And then I had mentioned, and we can talk about it another time, but I want to make sure I close the circle. There's a writer, his name is Stuart Woods, and he does a series of books about this protagonist, Stone Barrington. It is the most male version of a Harlequin ever.
Okay.
It is I was a cop and now I'm a lawyer and now I'm a sex symbol who's a generalist. And I travel to swanky places in the States, and everything that I do and everyone I encounter and where I live is very easy and sophisticated and whatever. And I'm like, oh, I think that this is the male version of the Duke saw me with my heaving breasts under a hedgerow. I think this is what he thinks is the male turn on version. And I'm like,
okay,
it's a lot. And you can tell that he's kind of a jerk because he has a thing at the end of all of his books that it's like, hey, by the way, if you found a mistake in the book, good for you. But I don't need to know about it because I've already probably been contacted by 1 million people. And if you want to write a book, then go ahead, go find your own editor and do it. I'm not interested. I'm like,
this is the author's note.
This is the author's note. I'm like, dude, so speaking of
keeping it real,
keeping it so real, talking about Dear Krabby. Yeah. So anyway,
but it's fun.
But they're fun. They're fun.
Okay, very good.
So,
all right. Well, did you have any other cultural blind spots that you crossed out?
Nope.
No.
Not this week.
Well, then we better take a break and hop into our top topic of the week. Everybody, stay with us here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. We'll be right back.
I'm Stacy Heller. I'm one of your podcast pals, along with Eric Ryder from Don't Ask Me to Talk. Are you liking what you're listening to? Awesome. We would love if you would follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as Don't Ask Me to Talk. We also are wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can follow us, subscribe, like, rate, whatever it is that you do. You can also email us. That's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com. And if you'd like, text or leave us a voicemail at 475-999-2726. Basically, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Don't ask me to talk.
And we're back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. It is me, Eric Ryder, and the other one.
Me, Stacy Heller. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for listening. We are at that point in the show.
Yeah, it's
the point of the show.
The point of the show, or at least the title of the show. Because each week we, of course, have our good friend, the Wheel o' Topics, tell us what we're going to be talking about the next week. And last week, when I spun the Wheel o' Topics, it came up with Myers-Briggs. Now, it's no secret that you, Stacy, are the one that adds these topics to the Wheel o' Topic. And I like to find out each week what was the inspiration behind putting a particular topic on the Wheel o' Topics. And let's find out what the inspo was behind Myers-Briggs.
Okay, so this one is basically because I feel like both in my professional life and even sometimes in my personal life, people will talk about like, oh, what's your Enneagram number, or what's your Myers-Briggs like personality, or what's your fill in the blank, right? What's your sign? What's your crystal? What's your flower? What's your, whatever these personality, your love language. I mean, we've talked about love language before, I think, on the show. So there's all of these things that are supposed to supposedly encapsulate / represent what your personality is. And Myers-Briggs, I think, is one that has stood the test of time. It's something that a lot of corporations do to sort of have people reflect on who they are and how they might work best for themselves and with others. So I was like, I mean, if everyone else can talk about it, we should talk about it.
All right. Well,
why not us?
Sure.
So with that in mind, even though you've never really done it, I found, as I said, sort of the generic version, because there are people, I want to be clear, there are people that facilitate the actual Myers-Briggs test, and it's a whole thing, and they they unpack what all of it means, and they go through it with you, and yada, yada, yada. But there's also free versions where, take 10, 15 minutes and answer the questions and try not to get in your head too much about it. And you will end up with the personality type cocktail that is best for you. So,
and what do you think we gain from learning?
You're such a freaking skeptic.
What do you think we gain from learning what the what character from Sex and the City we are?
Okay, that's a BuzzFeed quiz, Eric.
Which is essentially what this is, but with more flowery language, I think.
You're such a negative Nelly. I don't know. I am somebody who is like endlessly optimistic that being self-aware might help me somehow in my life or my relationships, or give me some better sense of like, who am I in the scheme of like this bigger thing that we call life? What is my purpose? Why was I put here? I mean, it can't be to just like be born, have a bunch of kids and be married and like pay taxes and die. Like, come on.
Why not?
Because that's no fun. Ugh. And I also think.
But do you think knowing what, the quiz says our personality is actually helps with that? Like find our purpose?
Well,
Isn't the idea maybe that we have a little more understanding of the way that the other people think?
okay. That's like two different questions.
Fair enough.
And I think that by being aware of who we are and understanding that there is a spectrum of personality types, it helps us understand that it's not just us out in the world, that there are other people who are going to be actually completely opposite of us. So, and
Yeah.
to gain a better understanding of that so that, I don't know, we don't end up like where we are now, like potentially like at odds about everything from like sexuality and religion to politics and, you know, what color, you know, the sky is. Everything is there's no grace for different opinions and different types of learning styles and functioning styles and just I don't know. And so I guess maybe by learning your own type and then also learning that there are other types, it helps you understand that, like, by the way, the world does not revolve around you. There are other people that also get
Well, mine does.
flowery language about their type, right?
Sure.
Okay, whatever. Jeez. Also,
No,
for those,
I am teasing you to a certain extent. But,
to a certain extent.
no, but there's a purpose for that because I feel like to better understand what this topic is and what the idea that you're trying to get across with this is, it's important to explain that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think like with something like this, typically when it's done with in regard to like your professional life, it's sort of understanding that, oh, the person that may be in the office or the cubicle or whatever across from you, they may not be as extroverted as you are, right? They
Yes.
may not be the facts and figures person that is like, I trust the data and, but I need to trust and then verify. Like some people actually do things from the gut. There are the people that are, constantly trying to like sell something. And then there's the people that are like, no, I'm just like, hey, how are you? There's just a bunch of different personality types. And so to be able to, and I think this also falls into the category also, if you are neurodivergent in any way, it's understanding that like, look, it may seem, and I'm speaking of myself, that I'm not doing anything because I've got raging ADHD, but like, I don't maybe do it the same way. And so don't judge the book by its cover. Like there's actually a lot going on and I'm going to execute it at the last minute, but it's going to be fan-frickin-tastic. So trust the process. So I think this is about like, yes, it's introspective, but it's also about being accepting of others.
Okay. All right. So let's dive into this. And for anybody that wants to do this quiz themselves, we used something called 16 personalities, I believe.
Yes, we did. Yep. Yeah. Which is, again, it's sort of a generic version of the Myers-Briggs test. And I will say the thing about these tests is that you really can't overthink the answers. Like, it's funny because I had a middle school principal once tell me about my son when he was going through testing. Something came up and she's like, here's the deal. Generally, women tend to overthink the answer and be over analytical and think about how they're going to be perceived, whereas men are much better at just answering the question. And especially at this point in time, young men, so when they're in that, 11 to 13 range, it doesn't occur to them to manipulate it to look better. But for women, it does earlier. So if you're going to take a test like this, I encourage you to do not take too long thinking about it. Just go with your gut.
Right.
So what I thought was interesting is that you and I, in taking it, we were only one letter off, Eric.
How do you mean by that?
So you were a I
Yeah,
N
spoiler, I came out as a logician.
yes. And your letters were I N P.
TP-T.
Yes. So I'm an INFP-T. So that means that, by the way, we're both introverted. Haha. Everyone assumes that I'm extroverted, but I'm actually more introverted. And that is all about like how you re-energize. It's not how you present, it's how you re-energize. And I re-energize not being in a group, but being by myself. Then there's the intuitive piece. How much are you, in terms of your mind, are you intuitive versus observant? Looks like somebody else is also intuitive because you had an N as well.
Is that what the N stands for?
N is, yes, it is about intuition. No, the N is for nature.
Okay.
And that one is feeling. And which one were you? Were you thinking?
So with the letters, it's INTP-T. Now, I did not investigate further on what those letters were.
Okay. So the I.
But I do have my traits with the chart pulled up in front of me.
Okay.
So I can tell you the extroverted, intuitive, thinking, judging, assertive, like those numbers.
So those letters with your, I'm the INFP. So those relate to each of those things. So in the test, you're either going to be an E or an I. We were both I. So what percentage of introverted were you?
84%.
Okay. I'm only 55%. But still, I'll take it. Then,
so you're about 50-50. You're in the middle.
I'm a bivert.
Right.
Then for the N piece, intuitive or observant. So I think that's where the N is.
Okay.
And what percentage were you on that?
On intuitive?
On intuitive.
Yeah, 66%.
I was 70.
Wow.
We're closer on that one. Okay. And then thinking versus feeling. Which one are you more?
63% on thinking.
So I am 84% feeling.
Okay.
So there we have a big discrepancy.
Right.
Then between judging and prospecting, which are you?
58% prospecting, apparently.
I am 85% prospecting.
Okay.
And then when it comes to identity, there is assertive or turbulent. And what are you?
I'm 57% turbulent.
I'm 64%.
Keep me off a plane, I guess.
Yeah, well, okay. And so your descriptor was that you're a, what is it? Logician? What is it?
Logician, yeah.
And so what's the little thing that it said about that?
It says logicians are innovative inventors with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. These flexible thinkers enjoy approaching life unconventionally, often seeking out unlikely paths. Well, I think this show is proof of that. We are, in fact, conversational off-roaders, so unlikely paths is kind of what we're all about.
Well, that's just it. And think about all the different things that, I mean, look, this is a man that can fit a hex pipe. He can play a instrument. He can, he can do all kinds of things. Like, come on.
It's a PEX.
Whatever, hex, pex. See, this is why you do it and I don't.
But yeah.
Uh-huh. So for me, I am the mediator. I feel like I need to say it like the mediator. And apparently I possess a rich inner world brimming with imagination, empathy, and idealism. and I have a compassionate nature and deep-seated desire to understand the human experience. I mean, so it makes me a natural confidant and source of support for those around me. So it totally makes sense that I would want to know what our Myers-Briggs personalities are. So there you go.
Okay.
So
I gotta say, I approach this with a lot of skepticism because I don't like being pigeonholed, and I think sometimes it's detrimental to people to be pigeonholed and just be told that they are this one thing over and over through their life, because that kind of limits your own agency, I feel like. If you're like, well, of course, I'm an introvert, so I'm not going to do this. If you're like, I'm making this choice to do this, it feels like you have a little more agency if you're not necessarily always thinking about what are my personality traits and how am I living up to those. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways. So I've never liked that idea of being pigeonholed by people trying to figure me out with tests like this and stuff. But I got to say that I feel like this feels pretty accurate for my personality. So it is interesting in that respect. Maybe the idea is like, once you know that, okay, these are your tendencies, you can try a little harder in places that you want to grow or change or react against, rather than just falling back on these are my personality traits, or just telling yourself that this should not stop you from growing in any direction that you want to grow.
Totally. I agree. I think it's
Did that
just
make any sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. It's like, I totally get what you're saying about not wanting to pigeonhole yourself and be in an echo chamber where you don't have to grow, or you feel like you do because of what something tells you. But I think that's the reason that I like these kinds of things occasionally. I don't then go out and make a sticker to remind myself that, by the way, this is the way I'm supposed to be. It just gives me an awareness of myself. How do I feel about that? Let it sort of set with me, see what I think. Again, be aware that there's other people that oh, this is why I maybe don't get along with that person, or this is what I need to think about, and to challenge myself. And I can have agency then. I may not change how I am, but I can change the degree to which I am.
Right.
So there you go.
I got to say, this is a lot more reflective of people, it seems like, than astrology, which people seem to put a lot of faith in and belief in without any kind of evidence.
Careful. There are a lot of people that'll come after you on that.
Oh, I know. Come at me, bros. But then again, maybe that's just, being a Scorpio, I'm skeptical. Believe whatever you want to believe.
There you go.
But yeah, so this was an interesting exercise. I'm not sure exactly what I learned, because I kind of felt like, that's what I am. I know what I am. I yams what I yams.
Okay, Popeye.
Yes. But it does give me a little more shade on you, which I think is good.
Well, there you go. See?
Yeah.
All right. Well, and I'm just happy that I got you to do something that you don't typically like to do, because
out of my comfort zone.
Exactly. And you didn't die. See? You didn't die, Eric.
Yet. The episode's not over.
Well, there you go. Well,
I got to wrap this up before.
I know. So we might want to move on to figure out, what are we going to talk about next time? Are we going to have our signs, our star charts read?
Let's find out. Best movie line.
Oh.
Now, this one feels like it's going to be a short combo, but it's going to take me at least a week to decide on what I think the best movie line is. So I'll probably have some runners up too. So,
well, I was going to say,
hopefully our listeners have some runners up too. or their selection for best movie line, that they can just send us or text us.
Yeah.
Again, email asking@don'taskmetatotalk.com or text or call.
Yep, you can text or call 475-999-2726. Share what some of your favorite movie lines are. And
you leave a voicemail acting out the best movie line of all time. We will play that on the show.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I mean, unless there's
good.
like we get 50 or whatever, but then we'll make them available somewhere else. But we'll take the best ones and put those on the show. So please get in touch.
I'm going to call our number and I'm going to totally do a bunch of different like voiceover
voices.
accents. Yeah, I totally am.
I can't wait.
All right. Awesome. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. We so appreciate you, whether you're listening on the radio or as a podcast. We just appreciate the fact that you take this time to chat with us.
Yeah, to join us. We love you. So thanks for being with us, and I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll be back. I feel like I'm a anchorless adrift with no Star Wars left to watch. But I'm going to have to figure out something to do with my week.
Well, try reading a Stuart Woods book with Stone Barrington. It might be the male Harlequin porn that you're looking for.
I didn't hear anything from your description that made me think it was erotic. So I don't know. Maybe my personality doesn't necessarily jibe with that particular description, but we'll see.
All right. There you go. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks again.
Take care.
We'll see you next time.